minute of your speech, and then once your time is done, you'll most probably hear the bell ring. We are using 6 minutes for the first speakers, 5 minutes for the rest of the speakers. We shall have 1 minute for cross-examination and then 1 minute for preparation within the round.
Hello everyone, concern making it partial Octo finals. I'm Njsdc, I'll be a panelist for this round. Best of luck.
I'd just like to confirm whether both teams have the same motion. This House supports a robot tax whereby companies are taxed on the value of labor displaced by automation with the revenue funding universal retraining programs. Affirmative, is that the motion that you have? Negative, is that the motion you have? First affirmative, ready when you are. You have 6 minutes.
I honor you, the judges. Kopshesha Mtonjiro is my name. First speaker, affirmative. I begin in 3, 2, and 1. Resolved. This House supports a robot tax whereby companies are taxed on values of labor displaced by automation with the value funding universal retraining programs. We as team proposition, we support this motion. What is a robot tax? A robot tax is a tax that is charged from companies on the values of labor displaced by automation, meaning this is the tax that we charge from companies because they have displaced the labor with the machines. So we are coming to tax them with that amount to go and fund the universal retraining programs. We believe that the universal retraining programs are those programs that are going to train the people, those that have been displaced by the machines, to go train them, and maybe because they were displaced because they never had skills or they were slow in production, maybe they used it to delay the production. That is why we believe people were actually displaced. So we come in from a side of the house saying we should tax these companies because first thing, we want to create equality for the people. These people, the human labor has been displaced by machines. So what we come with from a side of the house, if this labor has been displaced, meaning it is there unemployed. So we are saying that this labor was displaced because people were unskilled and stuff. So we should come in and maybe retrain them, put some programs fund some programs that are going to train them so that they can also get skills, and maybe at a point in time later, they will also be able to perform this work that is actually performed by the machines. So that is why we come in with automation. Automation is the use of machines to do work. And the universal retraining programs, I told you, these are programs that are put to retrain the displaced labor. So why do we support this motion from a side of the house? We support this motion because we believe from their side of the house, when they actually displace the human labor and they do not come up to get this such kind of a tax that is going to fund programs that are aiming at training them so that they also gain that skills. One, we should have created unfairness. There will be unfairness because now the machines have displaced human labor and people are actually there doing nothing. People are not working anymore because we believe in a society, people should be working so that they can earn a living and actually feed their families. So from the side of the house, they will be creating unfairness because first thing, they have displaced the people. Secondly, they have not done anything to train them or to make them at any point in time do something good. So we are also looking from a side of the house that there is over-dependency. People have lost their jobs. So how are they planning to how do they think that people will actually get income or earn any income from them? So there will be over-dependency. One, there is over-dependency from maybe the government, and there is over-dependency from the individuals. Because we believe even machines, when they are in work, there are some people employed, but these people are few. We are looking at the number of machines because we said in the info slide, there is that a machine can perform what 10 employees have been performing. So there will be over-dependency whereby people will be expectant from the government or any other, yes, from the government. So at any point in time when the government government fails to provide for these people, we shall see people violating. So that is what are the, something that might come from the side of the house. Then individuals, people might depend on those few who have the work, and maybe we shall see the society cannot develop because people are overstrained by this dependency. So what do we look at from the side of the house? From the side of the house, we look at funding these training programs because we want to create employment for the people. People currently are not working because they were replaced by the machines. So if you fund these retraining programs, you'll maybe trying to make them gain skills that will at any point in time maybe create some employment, because we believe if a human being is trained as well as, if a human being is trained so much, they can also gain those skills and perform what a computer can do. So that is why we come in, that we are trying to create employment for those people by retraining them. So we should tax these governments because we are trying to create fairness. Because the info slide says, if the machine can perform a duty that 10 people have been doing, and that amount that has been, maybe that would be paid by those 10 people is around $500. So we should get that same percentage of money and make it a tax. That same percentage of money, that same amount, we should come and bring it to the retraining programs. That is trying to create fairness and equality. So we are looking at it from us. If we come to analyze this principally from a side of the house, this is actually ethical, because we are trying to create equality, we are trying to create fairness. If people are replaced by machines, then how are they surviving? So let's try to put for them some programs that are actually going to make them maybe gain some skills and go to do some other jobs. Well, when you also look at it practically, from that side of the house, what they're actually supporting, it may be impractical because we believe that there is a vast amount of population that is because we said one machine can replace 10 people. So that vast amount of population that is actually displaced, they are still unemployed. So when you come to look at it from a side of the house, this is going to work, because if we tax because we believe these machines have a higher productivity than human beings, so they will get a lot of money. Yes, they are getting a lot of money because they are producing very many goods. So if we come and tax them on that very point, meaning that one is possible, so there is no way this side of the house should come in and tell them this is actually impractical. No, it can happen, because the machine produces more than this. They produce a very big produce. Yes, they have a high productivity, meaning if there are companies or industries, there will be so much goods produced, meaning we can tax them and get that very money and come to fund the retraining programs, so that people can also be favored at a point in time. So this side of the house should come in and explain to us how are they going to, maybe if they do not support this idea, how are they going to be favoring the people? Where would the population go? If those people have been replaced, how are they going to survive? Because for us, we are looking at machines are doing the work. Yes, we want a high productivity, but then we also need the people to work. I rest my case.
We'd like to thank that speaker for her speech. Calling on cross-examination, you have 1 minute. We'll start when you're ready.
So dear panel, my cross-examination begins now. So dear speaker, do you seek to maintain status quo? Yes or no? Do you seek to maintain status quo? Yeah. You don't understand the question. Okay. So, are you training these people to compete with AI or? Are you training these people to compete with AI?
In the current world, yes, we are training people to compete with the machines.
So, which initiative you have that corporations will then buy into your move?
If we support this idea, it is not going to be maybe like something we are begging for. If we act as a government, we are going to pose this tax. If a tax is posed on you, then it is not, there is no need for maybe bargaining or what. It is a tax imposed on you. Then, so companies or corporations should have.
Thank you, thank you. So, give me the nature of then these jobs that are then automated. The nature of the jobs automated.
Wait a second, speech.
All right, calling on first negative, you have 6 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I am going to be starting my speech In 3, 2, 1, go. Chair, we cannot stand in a world where the basic definition of monetary equality is then to squeeze one side of the house in order to benefit the other. We think then such a definition is very squirreled and narrowed, and we cannot stand by such a world. We are so proud to oppose this motion. Several points of setup then. Firstly, what were the burdens in today's debate? We need to understand their side of the house had a burden to justify the need for change within status quo. That is to say, they had to show where is the inherency that then these corporations that have caused in order to lead to such aspects like technological unemployment. But they do not basically characterize that for us. But again, secondly here, they had to show us how reskilling is going to be looking like in their side of the house. They try to explain to us that they are going to be like giving people like skills to compete with AI. I have a characterization outside of the house that is going to be directly clashing with this sort of mechanism. But again, thirdly, they had to show us then the incentive these corporations are going to have to adopt into this policy without facing backlash. They fail on that aspect, so they don't show us why these corporations are going to easily buy in to such a policy. So moving on then, what this debate then had to look like. Firstly, we need to understand that in this debate, there are mainly two actors. That is to say, the corporations existing in this regard. But again, secondly, it is the then existence of these people who have been technologically unemployed. This means both sides of the house have to show how they are going to look at these corporations which are going to be taxed, but again, secondly, how these technologically unemployed people are going to be put in this regard. Team Affirmative does not necessarily do that. Instead, they turn these corporations as scapegoats for government in failure to provide these people with adequate capital to engage within production business, right? This is something very flawed and very wrong and directly clashes with their whole case. But let's understand what is the nature of these corporations which effectively integrate these technological systems within their production stages. Let's understand these are corporations which produce goods which have a high demand. That is to say, these are corporations which produce goods which are highly demanded on market, whereby humans or people can't easily buy in to at least be or adapt to that production speed. But again, secondly here, we need to understand these are corporations which engage in jobs which are hard to execute. Things like mining, which are very bulky for humans, and humans are very slow. But again, thirdly, we need to understand these are corporations which deal in large-scale activities. Things like large-scale agriculture, whereby human production won't, like human employment won't match the production means. This means that corporations replace these people not because they do not wish them to be within the production sector, but because they think that they cannot cope up with the standards of the market. And this then in this regard, it is not that because they are bad, but because these people are very ineffective. Now the reskilling they tell you about is to give these people skills in order to compete with automated machines. This is something very flawed. Why? Firstly, you need to understand due to our characterization that these are very bulky jobs, chair. This means however much you would like to train a person, like to be very less skilled, to reach a level an AI, they can't simply match working over 10 hours without stopping in order to match up market stands. We think then that does not stand in this regard. But let's understand also that this side of the house or team government are trying to inflict their burden on corporations. That is to say, they are trying to hold them accountable for something they are not necessarily responsible for. Why? Because these corporations in and of themselves have the obligation to make profits, have the obligation then to engage in business. But if then you accuse them that there are reasons why people are getting technologically replaced, yet these people, it is due to their own flaws, and then the burden comes back to their side of the house because they as the government have the obligation to give these people things like capital, to give people like skills, but not necessarily having to first squeeze these corporations in order to attain those sort of particular type of like mechanisms in order to solve the problem. Chair, let's understand, our side mainly regrets this, so like we don't believe in this policy because it then violates the taxation principle. How? Taxation works on the principle of equity. That is to say, before government is going to impose the tax within the community, it has to put into consideration how then the tax parties are going to be affected. This is where we ask them in cross-examination that at the end of the day, which incentive do they have that these corporations are going to buy into this policy when the taxation principle is being violated? They too have then the obligation to stand up for themselves because they also have their interest within status quo. But again, secondly, it is then upon them as the government to look back into their bases. They have taxes they collect collect from these people, they have them to use those taxes to provide capital to the people in order to get work to do, like not necessarily to compete with AI, but in other investments that are going to give them particular type of jobs, maybe innovations, and try them to find their way into the economy. This is something very flawed. They need them to come out and explain to us their whole characterization. So my team is going to come and extend more on this in the following posts. Firstly, they're going to talk about things like labor inefficiency as the reason why these people are being replaced and can't match up with the production standards. And again, secondly, they are going to tell you, that these people, or people replaced, occur in sectors where there are ethical sensitivity. That is to say, they don't replace them because they don't want them, but at the end of the day, just because sometimes they can't meet the ethical standards, things like keeping great passcodes, and they are automated and replaced in that regard. But again, thirdly, we are going to show you, this is the point I'm going to explain, that it increases production costs for these corporations. And when production costs are increased, it means these taxes of these corporations are going to throw the burden onto the public. They are going to increase the prices of the goods they are producing in order to recover these taxes. What is going to happen at the end of the day? Some corporations will be kicked out of the market, and they are going to unemploy more people in that regard. Some corporations are then going to look like they are being unpapered. With that, I think we don't accept the characterization of about that side. I am so proud to oppose this motion.
All right, we'd like to thank that speaker for its speech. Calling on cross-examination, you have 1 minute. We'll start the timer whenever you're ready.
Thank you for debating. My first question goes, do you care for the economic welfare of your people in your side of the world?
Yes, Speaker.
Thank you so much. And then, how?
I told you it's upon your obligation to get into your reserves and give these people capital.
How?
Yes, that's what I'm explaining.
Okay, thank you. Do you realize that retraining labor is one way of giving them skills?
I don't disagree with that, but what I disagree
You don't disagree.
with is the source of
You
funds.
don't disagree.
Is the source of funds you are using to do so. You are getting it from a corporation, yet you have funds at the
Do you
government.
realize that there is low productivity in current Uganda?
Excuse me, please?
Do you realize that there is low productivity in Uganda?
Low reproductivity, justify that. I don't realize that.
Thank you for not realizing that. Does training of people require any kind of payment?
Yes?
Does training require any kind of payment?
Yes, and it's government obligation to
I rest
provide
my
that
case.
payment. Thank you.
Calling on second affirmative speaker, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Panel of the judges, I recognize your presence. Before you is Sarah Ainembabazi as the second speaker from Team Proposition. Resolved. This House supports a robot tax whereby companies are taxed on the values of labor displacement by automation with the revenue funding universal retraining programs. So dear judge, what do you get from the other side? From the side of Team Opposition, they are coming in to tell us that for them their aim is about high productivity. They are not telling us how they are going to solve the problems of their house. They are just focusing on high productivity. But then we are telling them that what we are supporting the tax, we are supporting the imposing of robotic tax. So they are coming and telling us about high productivity without even explaining to you how are they going to put in practice this high productivity that they are talking about. Yet we as Team Affirmative, at first we came in, our speaker telling you that we do not need these computers immediately to replace these people, because we are looking at the problems that these people are going to face in the society. We are looking at unemployment. These people are going to be employed in the society, and of which this is not what we want in our side. We want these people to get employed. Yes, they are going to use machine, and we are saying that for us we are again competing with the machines. But then we are saying that let this be equality. Let people work and again computers exist, because we believe that if we combine the two, we can easily get what we want. But for them on the side of their house, they are looking at using computers only. They are looking at using AI. But then our side of the house has come to prove you that for us, we as Team Proposition, our burden is to prove that these people, we are supposed to promote equality. The all two things they are supposed to get, we are supposed to get equality. That is the individuals, that is the community where we need employment, and again put these computers into practice, because we believe that if these two things teams work together, we are going to get what we want in the society. We are again telling you that we are taking this example. We are saying that if we are using, take an example in our modern world, we see that in factories we need labor of people, we again need labor of AI. So we are saying that if we combine the two, we can easily get what we want. We are again telling you that when we were analyzing this principally, we were looking at equality and fairness, as our past speaker has told you. So we are saying that we are same proposition. Let us promote equality, let us promote fairness in our side of the world. But then in their side of the world, their major point that I got, our dear judges, is the point of high productivity. But of then I didn't get the high productivity that we are talking about. So you people, we need another analyzing about your point. So we are talking about, again, analyzing this practically, where we are saying that it is impossible in our society where you will find that computers are the only gadgets that are working without the people. We are believing, we are still proposition that let us combine the two so that our society can get a development. Because they were telling us in the info slide talking about the tax, they are saying that the tax that yes, they are telling us again in the resolution that the tax we are going to get, this is the tax that is going to be helping people, because we are talking about retraining programs. What are we talking about in the retraining programs? We are saying that this is where the money that is going to be got. The tax is going to help these people. We are looking about youth development programs. These are going to create employment in the society what we are talking about. We are looking at the youth development programs. That is, they are going to sensitize people about how to start their own businesses. And you're saying that this money is the one that is going to help the people. But then in their side of the house, our dear judge, surely we are not understanding what they are telling us. But we were saying that let us combine the two so that we can get what we want in the society. We are again telling you that we don't want over-dependency in our side of the house. This is why we believe that when people are not working, you will find over-dependency in the community. How is this going to happen? This is why I will find that this person has no maybe like capital in the business, is going to go to this person begging for money. But this is not what we want in our side of the house. We want all these people to be equal. We want a person to have her own money. We want a person to make sure that she's developing her own economy. We are looking at developing economy in our countries. So we are saying that, our dear judge, if we combine two things, we can easily get what we want in the society. I rest my case.
All right, we'd like to thank that speaker for its speech. Calling on cross-examination. You have 1 minute. I'll start the timer when you're ready.
I am starting my cross-examination now. Firstly, who are the actors in your side of the house?
The actors in the side of the house, this is where we are looking at the companies.
Okay. So how is equality promoted on their side of the house?
Equality is promoted when we are combining AI and the people that are going to be helping us so that we can develop our society.
Like, how is that equality?
Yes, please.
How is that equality?
How is that equality? I would like to explain to you that when you combine AI and an individual, this is where you're promoting equality. There is equality about these two things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
My second question is, you talk about things like unfairness, right?
Yeah.
But I'm asking, is it government's obligation to solve economic problems?
Of course it is the government's obligation. We are supposed to be solving economy in our country, but then how are we going to solve it? That is how we are solving.
So it's not the responsibility of Coca-Cola to reduce unemployment in Uganda, right?
It is also because we say that we are combining two things. We not say that we are going
Is it
we
the
are going
responsibility
against each other.
of Coca-Cola to reduce unemployment in Uganda?
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, calling on second negative. You have 5 minutes. The timer will start when you're ready.
My speech begins at 3, 2, and 1. Chair, the first thing that we need to notice here is that we cannot make a comparison between AI, this automatic machine, and then between an automatic machine with people or with a person. Why? Because at the end of the day, we believe that work that can be done by this automatic machine cannot be done by people or like an individual. So we do not see that existing even in status quo because there is no any like comparison. Onto engagement, what we get from their side of the house, they tell us that they are taxing according to the value, they are taxing to value of labor to gain money for fundraising universal programs, but then understand or realize that the skills that maybe they train or maybe teach these people or individuals, they cannot at the end of the day combat, like make a comparison with what maybe automatic machines can do at the end of the day. So we do not see that happening at the end of the day because universal programs cannot be compared just because of the skills that they provide to these individuals at the end of the day. Secondly, they tell us things like over-dependency. We tell you that in our side of the house, we are giving this burden to the government. We are giving like the government to impose, we are imposing these taxes onto the government, right? Because at the end of the day, we believe that the government has obligations to do that, right? But then even thirdly, they tell us that government has failed to provide this money. How that then happens in their side of the house, they say that these people at the end of the day, when maybe we fail to maybe fail like to compare with what they say at the end of the day, they feel like these people are going to go crying onto government. But one, we understand that at the end of the day, it is onto the government to like do that at the end of the day. So we do not see that problem happening at the end of the day. Thirdly, they talk about things of combining both automatic machines and people at the end of the day. Even when the conversion happens, we do not relate like the competitiveness, what the automatic machine can do and what people can do, right? They talk about things like unfairness. At the end of the day, we pose a question. You're talking about unfairness, yet at the end of the day, you are imposing taxes to the other side of the world. How does that then happen at the end of the day? We tell you that what we get to understand from their side of the house is one, they are turning corporations into escape pods to fail to pay the taxes that they have to pay at the end of the day, because we believe that at the end of the day it is a must for them to do that. At the end of the day they have to do that, but rather in their side of the house they instead use it as an escape pod. What we tell you from our side of the house, why labor is replaced by AI. One, because it cannot cope with the increased demand. People cannot cope with the increased demand at the end of the day. We believe then automatic machines can do that at the end of the day, because at a point in time maybe we need high increased production. We see then automatic machines come in front and give a help at the end of the day. Secondly, we tell you that people take a lot of time, right, at the end of the day. But at the moment in time we are using these automatic machines, we are going to do things on a hurry, we are going to do things in time, and we are going to be in position to provide these products in time to increase on the quantity that is then on demand or on market. But then even thirdly, we tell you that we maximize the profits to pay the government taxes, right? We do not, we are, at the end of the day, we achieve what we ought to achieve at the end of the day. Is that time to rest?
All right, we'd like to thank that speaker for its speech. Calling on cross-examination, you have 1 minute. I'll start the timer whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Speaker. Do you realize that the government gets funds or revenue for providing services from the taxes?
Does the government get taxes from?
No. Do you know that government funds or revenue are got from the taxes, taxing people? Do you realize from your world that the government gets its revenue from the taxes?
Yes.
Good. Do you realize that a responsible citizen should be able to pay the taxes?
We do not escape that because at the end of the day, we are in
Good.
position. to
Then
pay
do
our
you
dues.
also agree that the problem we have at hand currently was caused by those corporations that you're trying to protect?
No.
You do not agree. Then what is the problem in our resolution?
What?
What is the problem in the motion?
What is the problem in the?
Motion. Okay.
Okay. All right, calling on third affirmative. You have 5 minutes whenever you're ready. You are free to take a minute of prep time if that's something you'd like to exercise.
I begin my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Panel, we are here to make the entire house get to know what we have, at the end of the day, what the resolution wanted. The resolution of today wanted us to put the house at large to tell you that are taxes recommendable or they are not recommendable. Our dear opposers came in and told us that our dear opposers are focusing on high productivity, but then we as team proposers, we are not focusing on high productivity. At the end of the day, we see that opposers, they are not realizing that government gets revenue or funds to provide services from the taxes. They are not seeing that. But then we as team farmers, we say that taxes should be paid by the government. Why should they pay the government? They should pay taxes. These corporations should pay taxes to the government, reason being that there was unemployment when these corporations had not yet come. So they forget from their word that the government acquire funds of servicing from taxes. So when you're telling us that we should not pay taxes, then we shall lack funds to fund other retraining programs that we have been telling you about. They also forget that the problem at hand was caused by the corporations. So when you come here and tell us that we should not pay taxes, then where do you want the government to get the taxes so that they can retrain governments? Idea panel of today, they say that they don't conversion between AI and a person, but when we believe that when we beat two birds, you achieve quickly. So we are looking at this target whereby we say that let corporations that use robots pay taxes so that they can get taxes to retraining programs. We also asked them a question that they never replied. Do you realize that a responsible citizen should pay taxes? One of them automatically said yes. They also realize as opposers that they have to pay taxes. They are not denying that. So when you pay taxes to the government, where do you want those taxes to go? Nowhere. So instead, when the taxes are paid to the government, they should run to the retraining programs of which they are going to build a nation. And then our panel of today, we also asked them a question that they never responded to. Do you realize that government gets revenue or funds to provide services from taxes? Do you realize that government gets revenue or funds to provide services from their taxes? And they were like, at some time yes, at some time no. So we are confused. But our panel of today, I'm here to tell you that corporations that deal with robots should pay taxes so that those taxes can be used to retrain programs. When these taxes are used to retrain programs, then we shall see the problem of unemployment no more in Uganda. So, we are focusing on taxes to be paid, and retraining programs will then be catered for so as to develop our communities. What do we mean here? We as Zima farmers come in to tell you that these corporations that are dealing with robots should be left to pay taxes so as to cater for the retraining programs. So opposition should not come here and lie to us that we should not pay taxes at any more. But I don't think they were disagreeing with us, because at some time they told us that, yes, we agree paying taxes is there in Uganda. So which means they are also agreeing with our result, which means they are supporting us. So up and of today, I would like to pose a question to them. Do you realize that a responsible citizen should pay taxes? I rest my case.
All right, calling on third negative. You have 5 minutes. If you wish to exercise a minute of prep time, do let me know. If not, we'll start the timer whenever you're ready.
Yes, so my speech begins in 3, 2, 1. So panel, this debate would even run from even the first speeches that we had with the different characterizations, panel. But then panel, let's understand that then what then team proposition is trying to show us is then what we call a penalized tax. They're trying to use the robot tax as a scapegoat for their own failures, panel. Panel, let's also understand that even in the recent cases of unemployment in Uganda, we have seen the government itself standing in to fund in a way of stopping this unemployment, panel. Panel, we had an analogical question, panel, here that was in this debate, panel. Is it the responsibility of Coca-Cola to reduce unemployment, panel? Panel, this was enough to show us whether it's then the burden for corporations or then it's a burden for government, panel. Is it a responsibility for Coca-Cola to reduce unemployment, panel? Panel, let's understand that even when there was, or when there is high unemployment in the country, they haven't ever blamed any corporation for why there is unemployment, panel. But panel, let's understand that it was then the government obligation to dive into things like PDM, the parish development model, so as to stop the unemployment, panel. That only shows that it's a government obligation to reduce unemployment, panel. But that only shows that they're trying to use the corporations as a scapegoat and then using what they call a penalized tax, panel. Panel, what were then the team burdens? They had to justify the need to change status quo and why these corporations will buy into the robot tax, panel. Panel, on our side, we have to show you why there isn't the need for them to dive into robot tax, panel. But we don't disagree with the retraining programs, panel, because we believe that they are good, panel. But what we disagree with is the mode of attaining the money. They're just trying to use the corporations like scapegoats, panel. Let's understand that even from the currently in status quo, these organizations are already paying tax, meaning that they're already playing their roles as citizens, or like the way they see it, panel. But let's understand that then putting this penalized tax onto them is just then a scapegoat mechanism they're trying to put us, panel. But let's also understand that what are then these automated jobs that we are seeing? We think things like banking, we think things like mining, we think things that then need ESCO values to be maintained, panel. But let's understand that we give reasons as to why people are then replaced. It's not that people are bad, no, but because these jobs then need extra values. The causes to this would be then the increased market demands. If a person can work for 10 hours, then what's then the need for them to keep them working, panel? It's not that we're chasing them away, but we're just then trying to fulfill our obligations as then corporations, panel. But let's understand that obligations have the right to continue or then to maximize their rights, panel. That only shows that there isn't something wrong with them then replacing people with AI, panel. But then the whole thing, panel, then runs into what then they give us, panel. They give us their main push as fairness and equality, panel. But then even at their side of the world, they say that people should work with AIs, panel. Is that equality, panel? That isn't equality, panel. Why? Because one, AIs don't have feelings, yet people have feelings. AIs don't have rights, but people have rights, panel. That shows that even their side of the world, they don't have equality, panel. But then, panel, why does then this equality occur at our side of the world, panel? Because we are using our rights as corporations to maximize our profits, panel. That then only shows why then we have the right to then replace people with AIs, panel. Panel, let's understand that what are the things that they don't respond to, panel. One was their government obligation, then to reduce unemployment panel by using the robot tax as a scapegoat panel. This is then only enough to show us why then they failed this debate, because they haven't showed us the government obligations panel. Even with the examples I've given you panel earlier on, I've given you the PDM thing that was used by the government so as to reduce unemployment, meaning it then runs to the government so as to prevent the problem of unemployment panel. But let's also understand that in one way or the other, why then we don't consider two panel? We consider that we cannot train people to compete with AIs panel, because then AIs and then people who don't have feelings, they're not even prone to things like damages or injuries, but then even they are more efficient than people panel. That only shows why then we have to fulfill our obligations as corporations in one or the other then to maximize our profits panel. What were then the actors, and then how does even our world then favor the actors more? We have the replaced labor, we have the corporations, and even we have the government panel, one or the other panel. But then the actors, or the government in this case, does not feel its obligation reaching unemployment panel. But let's understand that then we are able to do this panel by then showing us the initiative of then why they have to give the mechanisms of reducing unemployment panel in the long run panel. What were then the reasons we gave why then labor is replaced? One, the escrow keepings. Talk of things like strong passwords used in banks panel. This is enough to show why then we have to replace AIs other than using people who are then prone to things like human influence or such things panel. Why then are you able to win this debate? One, even rely on our counterfactual panel. We cannot squeeze corporations, but rather the government then owes to provide credit to find the problem which they're talking about of unemployment panel. The problem that they asked us, what was the problem in this resolution, was then the technological replacements of labor panel. And then we should try to show you that it's our obligation to maximize our profits panel, which is then a right of all corporations panel, even the difference to the constitution panel. That only shows that we will work in then our premises panel without even interfering with anyone panel. That's why our analogical question stands in, that is this the obligation for our caller to fight unemployment panel? And they said, no, it isn't, but rather it's the government obligation panel. I would like to say, win this debate because we're able to cater for all the actors and show you how then their side does not fulfill their burdens. With all that, I beg to rest.
All right, we'd like to thank that speaker for that speech. That brings us to the end of what was a fantastic round. Please cross the floor and shake hands. You shall receive your results tomorrow morning. All the best to both teams.